Guys, welcome to the show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. It is a beautiful Monday to be alive. We're grateful that you're joining us today on the program. I'll tell you what, a lot we're going to cover today, including Governor Ralph Northam's announcement at close of business Friday that really put a lot of restaurants and businesses in the food and beverage industry in peril, in kind of this purgatory state. Folks, the restaurants across the Commonwealth for the last 13 months and change have been putting a system in place to manage customers safely during this pandemic. And then Friday at close of business, the governor hosts a hastily organized press conference, and he pretty much throws gasoline and then a match on top of all those rules and regulations the restaurants have put in place, igniting the rules and regulations and telling everyone in the Commonwealth that you can ignore what's been done for so long. Folks, the governor removes a lot of the COVID restrictions on graduation weekend across the Commonwealth. We'll spend some time talking about that on the I Love CVille Show. I want to talk about Albemarle County's all-virtual educational option. That's going to come up on the show. How many parents feel comfortable with their kids, kindergarten through senior year in high school, learning in an all-virtual setting? Well, we're going to find out, because coming this fall, the public school system in our fair county of Albemarle County will be piloting an all-virtual school for students K through 12. The pilot program is the first for Albemarle County, slated to function completely separate from schools offering in-person instruction. I'm going to take a deep dive on virtual public school, and I'm going to ask this question. Learning in old buildings that don't have great lighting, that may not be cleaned the best, that have poor ventilation, that are very expensive to upkeep, that have a lot of personnel on payroll to keep the buildings in check. Is that the future of learning in public schools? Or is the future of learning in public schools this all-virtual pilot program that Albemarle is rolling out? We'll spend time on that topic today on the I Love CVille Show. Yaz Washington is going to join us in about 9 minutes. We're going to catch up with Yaz and her campaign for Charlottesville City Council. Keith Smith in the 1 o'clock hour to talk real estate. So much to get to. But first, how about some confusion when it comes to COVID-19? I don't know if you felt this confusion, this uncertainty, this vulnerability, this fear, this what the hell is going on. Friday at close of business, Governor Ralph Northam, he hosts a hastily organized press conference, and he says, boys and girls, you don't need to wear the mask inside if you've been vaccinated. If you go inside a food and beverage establishment and you've been vaccinated, go from the parking lot to your seat at the table, order your food, drink your drink, eat your food, pay your check, and don't wear a mask the entire time if you do not want to. Now, here's the intriguing aspect of what the governor's doing. There's many intriguing aspects. First, why make this announcement Friday close of business? And if you're going to make the announcement Friday close of business, why not give like a buffer, saying, here's what I'm thinking, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give a week before it goes into play. Why do you do it immediately? When you do it immediately, you don't give folks a heads up to prepare mentally, physically for what you're about to say. So my first beef with the governor's press conference on Friday, I had a couple of beefs. First, it was close of business Friday. Why do a press conference at the end of the work week? Why not do it on Monday or Tuesday? Why wait till Friday at close of business to do it? The next beef I have with Governor Ralph Northam, why not say, this is what I'm thinking, and I'm going to wait a week before implementing these changes? Why say the changes are going to happen immediately? That's my second beef. Here's my third beef with what the governor did. The governor did this right before graduation weekend all over the Commonwealth. Virginia Tech had graduation. UVA had 2020 graduation. There were other graduations at colleges across the Commonwealth. Why do it right before graduation weekend? It's a fair question, okay? So here's the position we're in Charlottesville, in Albemarle County, in Central Virginia, and in the Commonwealth. I'm going to give you a hypothetical scenarios. The individual businesses can determine whether people wear a mask in their business or not. So conceivably, and these are hypotheticals, I'm not saying this is what's playing out, I'm just giving you a hypothetical here. Hypothetically, you can go in for a cold beer at 3 Notched, hypothetically, drink a Minute Man, have a hot chicken sandwich, have one more Minute Man, pay your bill. You could do it without wearing a mask, hypothetically. And then you could conceivably walk around the corner to American Sake because you want some sake as kind of like a way to finish your night or your afternoon. And American Sake could require you to wear a mask inside. It's up to the private businesses now to determine whether people wear masks in their establishments or not. Big brands like Target, big brands like Starbucks, big brands like Trader Joe's, big brands like Walmart, Costco, and Publix, the grocery store, they were among the first to allow mask-free shopping. You heard that correctly. At Starbucks, at Target, at Walmart, Costco, Trader Joe's, and the Publix grocery store, you can go mask-free while shopping. However, Home Depot, Gap, Ulta Beauty, those are among a few that will maintain their mask rules while inside. My biggest predicament with what's happening is the CDC is saying one thing. The governor's office is saying another. City Hall in Charlottesville saying something. The Board of Supervisors in Albemarle saying something altogether. And then the individual private businesses can come up with their own rules. So which regulation should we follow? Are you as confused as I am? Are you as uncertain as I am? I was listening to CNBC this morning. Dr. Scott Gottlieb of CNBC literally said this on television. He said, I expect no one by June in this country, when the weather gets really, really hot, to have a mask on their face. Time's going to tell. What I think is going to happen is you're going to have some businesses that are saying you have to wear a mask to come inside. You'll have other businesses that leave it up to the customer to make their decision. And then you're going to have a spending population that has to decide whether it wants to spend its money at an establishment that requires a mask or spend its money, the population, the populace, at a business that offers customers the decision to wear a mask or not. It's going to be a sticky situation in the dog days of summer here in Charlottesville, Albemarle, and in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We'll spend some time talking with Yaz about that today on the show. We'll also catch up on her campaign to see how things are going. She's going to join us in about 4 minutes here on the I Love CVille Show. If you have questions, props, if you want to ask her a question about her campaign, just put them in the feed. I see the ones that are coming in so far. Laura, Brian, and Grace, I will pass these along to Yaz. Thank you for the respectful questions, and I'm sure she'll appreciate the positive praise coming from Grace. 2 other items before Yaz Washington is on set. Albemarle County, its school system, this fall is about to roll out a pilot program, an all-virtual pilot program for grades K through 12. The pilot program is the first for Albemarle County, and it's slated to function completely separate from in-person school. Here's what this means. This fall, in Albemarle County, the public school system is essentially going to have 2 divisions: the in-person schooling and the virtual schooling. The virtual school system has its own principal, Reed Gillespie. He's currently the associate principal at Western Albemarle High School. He will be slid over to Albemarle County and the virtual school principal. So you as a president, you as a parent, are you going to send your kids to virtual school or in-person school this fall? You as a parent, do you feel more comfortable with your kids learning from the coat closet, the breakfast table, or the spare bedroom, or learning in classroom with a teacher amongst their peers? You as a parent, did you see your student, your son or daughter, gain more efficiency with his or her curriculum and his or her learning while gaining that education virtually? Or do you think that knowledge was best absorbed in person? Parents are going to have some really tough decisions to make. I will say this. A school system that spends tens of millions of dollars to upkeep buildings that are old, poorly ventilated, poorly lit, maybe not the cleanest, and require a lot of people to upkeep them, that business model, from my standpoint, seems potentially antiquated. Do you remember Helen Dragas of the Board of Visitors at the University of Virginia? Helen Dragas had beef at the Board of Visitors at the University of Virginia because Helen, who was on the board at the time, anticipated colleges going 100% virtually with their education. She wanted Coursera and virtual education to be a part of the University of Virginia. That happened 8 to 10 years too soon. That's why Helen Dragas was driven off the Board of Visitors at UVA. In retrospect, maybe Helen Dragas was 100% right. Maybe we just needed a pandemic that mankind hasn't seen since the Spanish flu to understand that education virtually could be just as efficient and just as effective as in-person education. Time will tell, but this fall, Albemarle County is going to allow students to learn from the coat room, the breakfast table, or the guest bedroom instead of going in the classroom. Very interesting topic. Two more items, one more item, in fact, I want to get out of the notebook, and then Yaz Washington on set. The questions that have come in for Yaz, I'm archiving them. We will get to them in a matter of moments. Brittany Moore, welcome to the broadcast. Lauren Linsky, hello. Keith Smith, Vanessa Parkhill, and Diana Sabatri, welcome to the show. Couple of items out of the notebook when it as it applies to Biscuit Run. Biscuit Run Park, I learned this on Friday. We knew it was 1,200 acres. We knew it was in the urban ring. Did you know Albemarle County's Biscuit Run Park is larger than Pretty Creek and Walnut Creek combined? If you add the acreage of Walnut Creek to the acreage of Pretty Creek, Biscuit Run Park is still bigger than both of those combined. In fact, Biscuit Run Park is larger than Central Park in New York City. Biscuit Run Park is 1,200 acres in the urban ring close to Wegmans down 5th Street and Avon Extended. For 10 years plus, 1,200 acres in the urban ring is doing I was going to use a profanity, is doing absolutely nothing. Why, as Albemarle County residents, are we not screaming from the top of Carter's Mountain, demanding that the largest park in our county get open for us to use from a quality of life standpoint? Instead, our taxpayer dollars are going to maintain a park that no one can use. Please realize our taxpayer dollars are just that, our money. We generate it, allocate it, and pass it along to the municipality. So damn it, we have a right to be vocal if 1,200 acres in the urban ring is on ice doing nothing. A result of a backroom deal that took a developer off the hook during the housing crisis in 2008, 2009, and 2010. Now 1,200 acres that could be used for quality of life improvement. 1,200 acres that potentially could create some density. I'm not saying it would from a housing standpoint, but potentially is doing absolutely nothing. More on that as we mature on the I Love CVille show. J-Dubs, why don't we welcome the fabulous, the intelligent Yaz Washington to the set. She is running for Charlottesville City Council as an independent. I like this lady's energy. I like her chutzpah. I like her courage, her fearlessness, her willingness to get involved. I like her moxie. I could follow you around, Yaz, all week if you want me to, if you like this, singing your praises. I like that you're willing to step up and fight the good fight. When I was your age, the only thing I cared about is beautiful ladies and partying and staying up and getting into trouble. You, on the other hand, are getting engaged, involved, whether it's Hingley's campaign, Dr. Webb's campaign, now your own campaign. How are you, Yaz Washington?
Well, good afternoon, first off. I'm doing well.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
How's the campaign?
Everything's great. I actually was able to get out in the Fifeville area and do a canvas launch where I was able to engage with some of the residents, knock on a couple of doors, have some really amazing conversations with individuals who live in Charlottesville.
How has the 2021 year treated the campaign? Give us the flip book of what's transpired with your campaign.
Yeah, great. So basically making sure that I'm attending events, upon invitation and everything like that. Definitely making sure that I'm able to connect with the residents of Charlottesville, individuals from different communities. I've had some great conversations with different neighborhood associations. Let's see. And then being able to do debates or forums has been really great as well. That was the part I was really looking forward to, is being able to do the debates and get in there and kind of hear everyone else's opinions and their positions. So, yeah.
Well, I heard from many people after we hosted the Democratic debate here about how well you did. The Restaurant Association in the city of Charlottesville, in particular, the Restaurant Lodging Tourism Association in particular, was extremely impressed with your approach to small businesses in Charlottesville. So let me ask you this question before we get into the nitty-gritty. What did you make of the governor's announcement on Friday saying Virginians basically can go maskless everywhere?
Well, one, I'm excited, not going to lie. It's been a long year of wearing masks, almost as if it's become a staple, I have a plain one on, but usually I try to make sure that they're all decked out and fashionable.
Yeah, yours are always styled. I've noticed that. You make yours an accessory, and I like that about you.
So definitely, but making sure that we're continuing with things like hand washing for restaurants. Maintaining their level of sanitation and cleanliness is definitely important. In regards to schools, making sure that they're continuing the social distance. I'm not sure if they're completely killing all of that altogether, and it's not the 6 feet per person, which
6
is like
feet
10.
goes away May 28th.
Yeah.
So we can go in, you and I, Judah, we can go into like our favorite restaurant, our favorite bar, watering hole without a mask on. Nice. We still have to sit 6 feet apart until May 28th. But on the 28th of May, which is what? Memorial Day weekend, I mean, it's like it was before COVID. I mean, what do you think about that? You ready?
Honestly, I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to get out, go out with some friends, and kind of, get back to being able to interact with people in person, and comfortably as well. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of hesitation. We have the vaccines that are still rolling out and everything. A couple of different locations where people can go to receive their vaccine still. And also, if people feel comfortable, I'm sure they'll still be rolling around with their mask as well.
I think well said. I agree with everything you said. And I usually carry mine like you do too on my wrist. And I'm like you, where like I'll come in, I'll kind of get a feel of what everyone's stance is. And if someone's uncomfortable, I just put mine on.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or, especially with knocking on doors and canvassing, taking that, it's kind of like an automatic thing where you're kind of like taking that step back just for comfortability to make sure that, you never know how the other person feels when you're knocking on their door.
It's because you're a good person. You're a golden rule person.
And also, too, knocking on doors, it can feel a little invasive
Sure.
sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
Strangers coming to the door. That's pretty much what's happening there,
so
right?
I don't want to be right at your door as soon as you open, like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
You're in my space.
Were most of the folks that answered the door when you were canvassing, did they answer the door with a mask on?
Actually, so I had a couple that had knocked on their door, and he was like, I'm going to put my mask on just in case you're uncomfortable.
Sure.
So, I kind of had that experience, but other than that, and then I kind of had one man, he was on the opposite side of of the road and everything.
He was an anti-masker?
Well, he was like, I'm okay with it, but other people might, be uncomfortable still by the fact that, you might not be wearing a mask and stuff. And he was like, so I'm not giving you any, any crap, but somebody else might. So, yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I got no beef with that. All right, throw this to you here. What are you looking for? So you're running as an independent in roughly, I think the Democratic primary is what, June 8th?
Yeah.
So June 8th. So we're looking 1 to 3 weeks and change, and you will know who your clear-cut opponents are from the Democratic primary. 2 will come out of the primary. What do we got? We got Pinkston, we got Wade, got Carl Brown. How do you look at that primary? Can I ask you who you think is going to come out of the primary? Can I ask you that?
Oh, my goodness. Honestly,
because you're a political junkie just like I am. You like local politics just like me, and I know you're following it.
I most definitely do.
Yeah.
So definitely with the primary is very exciting for the Democratic candidates. I honestly have absolutely no clue.
Can I ask a prediction, or do you want to stay away from the prediction?
Let's see.
You don't have to answer this.
No, I'm going to tiptoe away from that one.
Okay, a smart lady. Okay. So Pinkston, Wade, Brown. 2 of those 3 are going to come out in early June, and then you will know your opponents. Does your mindset change at all after you know who your opponents are in the primary? The Democratic primary is over.
Wow. So which was really interesting as I was kind of like making my way down here. I was kind of thinking, and I'm like, over the course of this election so far, having the way that we've like centralized focus, or we've kind of like talked about, different topics in detail. I think that we've kind of talked about everyone's positions, in a different type of way. So I kind of could see that continuing to be a thing, and also too with the things that are going on nationwide, and then honestly in our own backyards as well. We've had some isolated incidences with gun violence. Which brings into question once again the relationship between the community and Charlottesville Police Department and the efforts made to being able to maintain safety in Charlottesville. Also, too, I did make one small revision in regards to that, which was basically to address gun control, which is...
You made a revision?
I made one revision.
Okay, what's that?
Basically to address gun control and making sure that, when individuals are going to purchase a gun, making sure that there's a background check, obviously, that's done, that shows their criminal background, and basically will either yay or nay if they actually can purchase the firearm or not, but also as well making sure that there's, if possible, there's a medical record for any hospitalizations, including mental illness, or or maybe someone was transferred to a mental institution, or anything of that nature. Just making sure that all that's included to maintain safety and uphold the amendment. Which, as much as I felt as though I can do from a city council point of view, obviously, if there's any, anything that starts to overlap, or there's a conflict with HIPAA, making sure that, who knows, we could pass that to a state level. Talking about gun control starts to make a lot of people really tense.
Yeah. So you want to see with gun control, so if I'm reading you correctly, if I'm hearing you correctly, with gun control, you don't only want a background check, but you also want a mental health and wellness check.
Yeah, most definitely.
Along with the background check.
Most definitely.
Okay.
I think that would be really great, to be able to see that and making sure that, guns aren't, falling into the wrong hands.
What the hell is going on in Charlottesville with all this gun violence?
Goodness gracious.
Right?
So,
What do you think's going on?
Really, honestly, I'm not sure, which is really amazing that we have, we do have Buck Squad outside of the Charlottesville Police Department. So, there is actually something there, encouraging individuals to, put their guns down. Also, too, you have the CIT training by Charlottesville law enforcement, which is basically to make sure that, they're communicating with individuals differently when they're responding to occurrences, which is kind of a way that I feel as though everybody can kind of work together to reduce, gun violence and also, too, incidences involving police and police brutality as well.
Well said, yes. Does your mentality change when you know who is on the Democratic ticket, or is it just it's the same campaign?
So other than that, so I got out there, but I'm back now.
Yeah.
Also, too, just making sure that I'm sticking to why I'm running. I have grassroots to Charlottesville.
You do.
I'm very passionate about, Charlottesville, maintaining policies and being able to bring about change through a political point of view. Or just like, all the duties and whatnot and being able to uphold all of that. I'm definitely really excited still to be running, making sure that I keep that enthusiasm.
I like that about you.
Yeah.
I like your enthusiasm. I think it's contagious. Are you surprised that our current mayor, Nikia Walker, has not made a statement outside of the beef that she and I had on Facebook in February? The beef where we were going back and forth, she said I had a campaign to prepare for. That was in early February. Besides that, she's made no indication on whether or not she would run again for council. Does that surprise you at all?
Yeah, so I actually had a conversation with her.
Okay.
Last week.
Okay.
Actually, it was Friday.
Okay. This past Friday?
Yeah.
During the governor's press conference or earlier?
It actually might have been going on at the same time,
okay.
to be honest.
Okay.
So it was a pretty good conversation. At the end of the day, she's definitely an African-American woman.
Uh-huh.
So making sure that we're able to, talk and connect on that level was really great.
Yeah.
Actually, really like her as a person. But, aside from that, I'm not sure if she'll be announcing.
Did you ask her?
I actually did.
And she said, I'm not sure?
Yeah, so yeah. I guess she's still undecided on that level as well. So I guess that'll be something that she would have to announce by the primary.
Yeah.
So.
Well, she has more time because she's an independent, right? What's the independent deadline?
So I do believe that everything, all the paperwork, signatures, and all of that included has to be in by the primary.
Really? Even as an independent?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. So do you think she's trying to maybe assess what happens with the primary and determine whether or not she's going to run? Because here's how I see it. I'm going to just, two people talking. I like to analyze stuff. Okay. I like to analyze stuff. The Democratic primary, I think Juan Diego Wade is a heavy favorite to win the Democratic primary. I think a lot of people would agree with me. The next spot between Brian Pinkston and Carl Brown is kind of a toss-up. If Brian Pinkston wins the second spot, that would mean Juan Diego Wade and Brian Pinkston coming out of the primary. I think our current mayor, Nikia Walker, is more likely to run then if Pinkston is on the primary. If it's Juan Diego Wade and Carl Brown, Brown's been around here his entire life, I think Mayor Walker is less likely to run if it's Wade and Brown coming out of the primary. What are your thoughts, Yaz Washington?
Well, I did notice that Juan Wade and Brian Pinkston are actually canvassing together.
They seem to form a team, haven't they?
Yeah.
Is that what's happened?
I did notice that it does appear that way. I noticed that, you see a Juan Wade sign, you see Brian Pinkston one right next to it.
You do.
So it does seem like they're, they've kind of teamed up and they're doing their thing that way. Also as well, who knows, I mean, yeah.
Because you know Carl Brown, too. You've known Carl Brown a while, haven't you?
Just from a familiar face in the community, definitely growing up here, I do know Carl, and then I've just gotten acquainted with, Brian Pinkston and Juan Wade over the course of the election. Two really great men. I probably would have teamed up with someone if I had made the Democratic ticket. So, it's a really great strategy.
I think it's a smart move by them.
It's a really great strategy, honestly.
Yeah, because they know if they come in first and second, either way they advance. And then they can choose then after the primary to not then run as a team, or they can continue running as a team into the general. Right?
Right. So exactly right. And so, usually Democrats or, I guess it could be seen with the GOP as well.
Yeah.
People tend to team up. And kind of like, or somebody will, endorse and kind of back out all people within that party or all candidates within that party. So that's things you tend to see a lot. So yeah, and then they also too, they got the endorsement from RD. So RD was out there as well. So seems like a really great thing going on. I have my own thing going on, and
all the best of luck to everybody.
May the best man win.
May the best man or woman win.
Exactly right.
What have been some of the common themes you've been hearing when door knocking from folks? Concerns about the city or where they would like the city to go? What are the commons that you're hearing?
Yeah, so let's see. I had a really great discussion with someone about the fact that the real estate, the prices of real estate are inflated right now. And they were actually planning on moving within the next couple of months or so. And they basically were talking about how they would prefer to rent over selling because they think that would be more affordable in the CVille area for individuals looking to, looking for housing or, So I thought that was pretty neat.
So the folks in CVille were saying, we know we have a right, we know we have an option or an opportunity to sell at top dollar, but we would rather rent than sell our homes?
Yep, so they would rather rent. They said, for people who, work at the hospital, that definitely would be very convenient for, them to, even though it's only one house, it's really great that people, think like that because making sure that housing is still affordable is definitely amazing as well for individuals who are, if I'd say 50% or below area median income.
Keith Smith says Yaz is right. For all candidates, the filing deadline is June 8th. So she's 100% right on that. Jay-Z Kirby is watching. He says the background checks on Virginia are already done. As a matter of fact, many states have modeled their checks after ours. He also has a comment about virtual school. He says, I can't wait to see kids being sent to virtual detention. I see a movie out there, The Virtual Breakfast Club. That's from Jay-Z Kirby. Jay-Z, good comment right there. This is a good comment from Grace. She says, Jerry, can you ask your guests who her role model or who she looks up to in politics is? That's a good question.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, I've been doing something a little strange, just a little different.
Okay.
I love history. I think history is absolutely amazing. So I've actually, apologies, I've actually been following different presidents and their strategies.
Okay.
We have everything from the New Deal, which Biden just implemented. Also, too, to piggyback off of that, Lyndon B. Johnson did he made some revisions as well, and it was a really great stepping stone to back that from JFK. So, you have these really great, really great presidents who have kind of like already, and we're kind of using their stuff and revamping it, but to how it pertains to the world now, basically is what I wanted to say. But, so you have, JFK with, sorry, so not JFK. That was completely isolated. Ugh. That was weird. Mm-hmm. But no, so you have Franklin D. Roosevelt with the New Deal. And so, the New Deal was there to be able to create jobs, for sure, without a doubt, making sure that they were addressing the issues of, rural agriculture and definitely farmland as well. And, amongst that, a couple of other things, but it was definitely civic works programs. And that's definitely one thing that we're looking to be able to vamp right now. And then to, step aside from that, then you have, Lyndon B. Johnson. He did a lot of really great things as well, a lot of things with civil rights. And then, he also did a lot of things with like road expansion and a couple of other things, just to name a few. So those are kind of like the different people that I've been looking at and I've been analyzing and kind of throwing all of that into a melting pot. And then also to get back to current day, I've kind of been looking at, what's going on right now in the world, what would I like to be able to do, and what other cities have done that. Even though I think it's really great that Virginia oftentimes does get used as a model, that's absolutely amazing as well, that we're making progressive strides and we're able to bring about change through reformation. And then we have all these other, states looking in, and it's kind of like, whoa, Virginia's doing really amazing things. We would like to be able to do that too. So it's kind of just a blend of things, but I haven't actually, latched onto anyone right now, and being able to like look and see and be like, yeah, that's it for me. So I've kind of been doing it, Wikipedia, Google, and all of those have been my best friend.
I like it. I like it. Bill McKenzie, welcome to the show. Thank you for liking the broadcast. Keith Smith, we will go to you in about 4 minutes here on the I Love CVille Show. Laura has this question for you. If you were elected, what are your first priorities of action to get things done on the dais? Good question.
Yeah. So, okay. I would definitely like to be able to prioritize urban planning, for sure, without a doubt. I noticed when I was scrolling through the news that Charlottesville just made a commitment over the next 5 or so years to $160.5 million, which is going to be to basically to work on developing I'm assuming the downtown area as an improvement plan. So, and the first amount of $34.5 million is going to roll out July 1. So I definitely think that would be great with, I'm not sure if those dollars are going to end up being reallocated to the schools and the reconfiguration of Walker and Buford, or if it's going to kind of be like centralized towards like, the West Main area, and, definitely working on like the streetscape and all of those different projects. So yeah, I think it'll be great to be able to see that, while making sure that we're not continuing to climb within, overseed or supersede our debt. Because we want to be mindful of that without a doubt, but definitely making sure that we're, if projects are introduced, we're making sure that we're doing the best to our ability through procurement management to bring them to fruition. Aside from that, definitely making sure while we're talking about investments, investments is definitely the what. It seems like proper allocations is the how. Definitely making sure that we're continuing to not only build the city up, but take a step back and build up the inner city as well. So when we're talking about, low income or, the low wealth neighborhoods and hubs, making sure that CRHA is continuing to be prioritized in that aspect, and making sure that we're redeveloping predominantly Black neighborhoods. Even though they're in the, lower quartile, and, it's a low income, doesn't mean it has to be poorly structured. So, investing in the materials and being able to build them up is definitely really important. And it's going to help in the long run with overall life expectancy.
Yaz Washington, guys, our guest. She's running for Charlottesville City Council as an independent. Final question for you comes from Brian. I enjoy our interviews. I find you very comfortable and easy interview. I don't have to pull it out, which is, I just want to say thank you for that. So the last question I have for you comes from Brian, and he says, do you feel it's an uphill race running as an independent? And do you feel, now that you've seen how this works, that if you had run tied to a party, it would have been easier for your campaign? That's a good question.
Yeah, so actually, I've had people tell me, being that, I typically work for Democrats, when I am working on political campaigns, definitely being like, hey, are you planning on getting back, back in with the Democratic Party. So as of right now, definitely one thing that I've been doing for sure is making sure that I'm able to blend values from the Republican Party and values from the Democratic Party and really embody, what it means to me to be an independent, which is being able to be that medium, which is able to actually bring individuals together from each party and, kind of be like, hey, we all have things that we can agree on. A lot of things that we can agree on outside of, development definitely is affordability, making sure we're providing equity through, education, or we have the food equity initiatives, which is a newer one, but it's amazing. The public safety umbrella, which I stretched a little bit and made it about eco-management as well.
I like that.
So, I've been, trying to definitely introduce, things that I think are realistic, things that I think are relevant, and things that I definitely think will build Charlottesville up and build the residents up to be, definitely change our overall experience here.
Michelle Juanita Tanner is giving you some props right now. You have the CVille Weekly, CBS 19, NBC 29, and the Daily Progress watching you here.
Nice.
So I would not be surprised if you get a phone call or a DM or a text from one of these reporters asking for comment. Anything else that you want to add for everyone that's watching?
Wow. So let's see. Aside from that, I'm still debating about whether or not if I'm going to go back to the Democratic Party.
So you may do that.
It's in the air. I'm not sure.
How would that work, though? How would that? Because I don't know. Educate me.
Well, honestly, I'm running to win, so that would be a 4-year term.
Okay.
So definitely, after that, if I'm going to consider going back to the Democratic Party and then, running to be a delegate. So I'm excited. This is just the beginning.
So your plan is 4 years if you win on council.
Yes.
As an independent. And after that 4-year term on council is up, you're open-minded to potentially having the D next to your name as a Democrat. And then after 4 years, you'd like to run for say, what Sally Hudson's doing as a state delegate.
Absolutely.
I like it. You got a plan.
Yeah.
How far do you want to go in politics? Can I ask you that? I'm sure you've thought about it.
Wow. So look.
What do you want to be, a congresswoman, a senator? What do you want to do?
Honestly, you know what? One day, it could be there.
Is that what you want to do? Do you want to want to be politics as a career?
I'm really excited about being able to do politics as a career while still making sure that I'm continuing to nurture my baby, which is rocket science. And definitely aside from that, obviously, sliding into a 9-to-5 because I do need a little bit more normalcy.
Wait, you're getting a 9-to-5 job?
Yes, I am.
What's your job?
So I'm still in the process. I don't want to talk too much and then jinx it. So, but I'm really excited. And I've been trying to get into a nonprofit because it still goes to those humanitarian values. It's really exciting, and it's definitely one of those things where you're going to work, but you're not really you're not just waking up, and it's kind of like this sluggish, I have to go to work. It's kind of one of those things where work wakes you up. And I love doing that type of stuff. And politics is really exhilarating and makes me feel the same way. So, this is great.
Keith says, love to show Yaz, Washington, the land trust homes we built on Nassau Street. The only true net zero affordable housing built in the Charlottesville region. 0 electric bills.
Wow.
That's from Keith Smith.
That's incredible.
Who says he'd like to show you some of the homes that Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust has built. Why don't I get you out of here on this note? And Keith, we'll go to you right away here. So Stephen has asked this, and I started the show this way. Stephen says, Jerry, ask your guest her take on masks in Charlottesville and in businesses and what she feels comfortable doing. So I will ask that. Would you feel comfortable, walking into a restaurant sans mask? I mean, what's your comfort level right now with COVID?
Honestly, I'm feeling pretty good.
Me too. Are you vaccinated?
I haven't made it in my schedule yet to get vaccinated.
Will you?
Towards the end of the month, that's definitely something that I'll be, putting within my week, at least the last week of May, so that I can prep for June and stepping out and really getting out there.
Right, and going out. Let me ask you this: Do you think it's fair for us as Americans or Virginians or Central Virginians to ask others if they've been vaccinated? Like, would I ask anybody else, have you gotten your colonoscopy? Have you had your whatever check? We wouldn't do that, but we do that with vaccines. Do you think it's fair for us to ask that question?
Yeah, so basically with the COVID vaccination, I'm not sure if it's going to end up being one of those things like, did you get your flu shot? I think that's a question that people still get asked.
Yeah, they do. That's fair.
I was wondering if it was going to be kind of like, put in with those series of questions like, hey, did you get your flu shot? And would COVID be right under there? Or if it's kind of one of those things where it's like to each his own. I'm not exactly sure which way I see that going, but I'm definitely planning on getting mine. I know a lot of people that I had talked to said that they were kind of waiting for summer to come around, just with the early hesitation about the vaccines and whatnot. Which probably came from there being so many different ones, honestly speaking. As we approach the summer, I think that a lot of different people that were, that percent that was, were kind of a little nervous is probably going to step up and eventually get vaccinated. And, if not, making sure, again, cleanliness. Is definitely one, whether that's from, clean diet, clean environment, or, just making sure that your sanitation is in order, and all of that definitely takes a major impact on your immune system.
Caroline Stevens will close on this. She says, thank you for having Yaz on the show. Please tell her that I appreciate what she's doing for this community and trying to do for the community. And she says, you have my vote.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's got to make you feel good. That made me feel good for you, and that's came in on the feed. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm very grateful. J-Dub, should we get a photo of the fabulous Yaz Washington before she goes here on set? Why don't we do that? You can go on a one-shot with me because I got a couple more comments that I got to get out, and then we're going to go to Keith Smith via Skype. But I'll give you some time to get back in that chair, J-Dubs. So, Yaz, we're going to get your picture here.
Yeah, that's great.
As we're getting the picture, I'm going to relay this from the feed. This is from KJ, Kelly Jackson, co-star of Women Changing Our World. She loves the idea of virtual school in Albemarle County. And she says, you could live overseas for a year and still get your education. Thank you, Yaz. Thank you for coming.
No worries.
So Kelly Jackson loves the idea of a virtual school for a year. Albemarle County this fall is going to have 2 school systems, essentially. It's going to have an all-virtual school division with its own principal and an in-person school as we knew it before COVID. You, the parent, would you send your kid to the all-virtual school? That's the question. I think about it. There's no travel time on a bus to school. There's no drive time in a car with the parents to school. There's no travel time coming home from school on a bus. No travel time coming home from school in a car with the parents. Parents don't have to worry about picking their kids up from school. Although if the kid is younger, they have to worry about who's going to stay home and watch the kid. You can make a legitimate argument that an educational curriculum potentially could be more efficient virtually. But you can make a very strong argument that school is as much curriculum as it is social behavior and interacting with other kids and learning to essentially become an adult. That's what school and college is about, as much as it is learning ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, SOHCAHTOA, American history, geometry, cursive. All that is important. But school is as much about getting along with your peers and learning to behave in a classroom and becoming an adult as it is education. So what's your take? Would you be comfortable sending your kid to an all-virtual school when an in-person school is still an option? Judah, I'm going to reach out to Keith Smith now. I like this guy. The star of Real Talk, Tuesdays and Fridays, 10:15 a.m. on the I Love CVille Network. It is ringing right now with the man, Keith Smith. Keith Smith is live. How are you, my friend?
Well, Jerry, how about you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Yaz is excited to see what the Land Trust has done on Nassau.
Cool. Love to show it to her.
What do you think of Yaz, Keith?
Well, the name is awesome.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a daughter named Yaz.
Yeah, so, Yasmin, is Yaz her full name or is it Yasmin? We have to ask one time. I have to find out, but our daughter Yasmina's nickname is Yaz. Our other nickname is Zebra, which we have no idea why that name is out there, but all my nieces and nephews, all her nieces and nephews, which is 13 of them, call her Zebra. Have no idea why.
What did you make of Zebra's great. I love Zebra. What'd you make of the Friday close of business announcement from the governor? You and I were texting back and forth about that, my friend.
Yeah, nothing like dropping a little bomb at the last minute, a close of business on Friday, and we actually had an event here for the Land Trust on Saturday morning where we were doing our intake with 5 new potential buyers, and our approach, at least what the approach we're taking, is we're going to let this thing work itself out a little bit. We're going to be masked up and just. We had a couple of meetings today. My protocol is hey, I'm fully vaccinated. Are you fully vaccinated? And if the answers are yes, are you comfortable with taking a mask off? I'm going to say I'm comfortable with it. Then we take the mask off. So that's kind of our approach of how we're doing it. Same with meeting clients and customers is, we're just going to have that conversation and say, where's your comfort level at? And if you're not, then great, we keep the mask on. And it's about respecting each other's comfort zones and moving forward. I tell you, I'm glad I'm not in the restaurant business because I wouldn't know what the hell to do.
I mean, that's the toughest part for me, and I'm going to get out of your way here. These guys are friends. My clients, a lot of them, are friends. We know a lot of them. For 13, 14 months, they've been putting these systems in place, and then at close of business Friday, in a press conference that no one saw coming, he kiboshed all these restrictions that have been in place for the last year and change.
So you and I talk about the real estate space being like this big nuclear aircraft carrier, right? That's at full throttle. Well, what he did is he took that from full throttle and put it in reverse. And anybody who knows anything about mechanics, as soon as you're at full throttle and you throw something in reverse too quickly, things kind of go a little screwy. I just don't, it was a total lack of guidance, and I don't say that to be critical of the governor. He's done, in my opinion, he's done a great job in doing this, but they kind of should have let themselves into this a little bit. Okay, guys, today is Monday. And if things go right, this is what we're going to do on Friday. So business owners had an opportunity to figure out what the heck we're going to do. We as business owners, as you know, adapt pretty darn fast, but that's a bit too much, right? To go from 5 o'clock on a Friday and I'm opening up a restaurant on Saturday, whatever, morning or afternoon. What the hell are we going to do, Coach? We don't have a plan because it just got thrown at us. But that's just, that's me just giving you my opinion for what it's worth.
I think your opinion is spot on, dude. I feel the exact same way. I mean, I was talking to one guy who's who's C-suite at a major brewery in this area, and he said they gave us 17 hours to change 14 months of work.
Yeah, it's just, so I think, the approach for most people that I know in this space is, okay, we're keeping everything the way it is. Let's see how this plays out over the next 48, 72, whatever it is, 120 hours, and then kind of see how this goes. And it doesn't help that you're getting conflicting information from conflicting sources, right? But look, in fairness, we've never been here before. Or we were, but that was long before any of us were thought of. And so we got to give them a little bit of understanding, but I'm glad I'm not in that space. Our space, we're keeping everything we had in place as of 4:59 or whatever time it was on Friday, and we're just kind of letting this kind of play itself out nice and slowly and easily.
How's our real estate market doing?
Interesting, you should ask that. As you know, I get these daily hot sheets from CAR, right, part of our Paragon, part of our MLS system, and I'm tracking them on a daily basis. Today, we are currently at 20 new homes coming on the market. This is in the full footprint of CAR, 19 when pending. So we're kind of on par. So it's interesting. One of the things that I track very closely, and you and I talk about this all the time, is days on market. So I just want to put a little bit in perspective, right? From the January 1 to today, in Albemarle County and Charlottesville only, no new construction. We're dropping that out because that skews the days of market. We're at 6. So the last time the market was this hot, would we say it's 2005? That's a fair assessment. Do you want to know what the whole year's medium days on market were in 2005?
What was it?
It wasn't 41 days.
Get out.
So we're at 6. 2005 was 41. That's considering that as the apex of the market before it took a dive or crash. So we're so anemic. But the good news is we're starting to grow. We're starting to see some homes come on the market that we've all been predicting it. But I mean, just to get back to that as a benchmark, we've got 35 days of days on market to pick up. And oh, by the way, the whole number of units that were sold in Charlottesville and Albemarle in 2005 were 810. We're up to 689 as of today.
689 and we're in May? We're not even halfway through.
Not even halfway through.
So what do you make of that?
Well, volume is up way more than it was. The price is also substantially higher. We're running about 417 now, medium. This is again Charlottesville and Albemarle only. It was 295 in 05.
Dang. So we're talking 16 years. We're talking, you said 417 versus 295? You're talking 122K increase in 16 years.
So I haven't done the math to figure out what the percentage is year over year. But I suspect it's probably somewhere in the 3 to 6% appreciation year over year. So it's appreciating. I mean, that's a long period of time. We had a bit of a dip, obviously, in between, or I like to refer it as a recession. Can I jump in on something other than real estate real quick while we got time?
Please.
So I want to add just a little bit of time to this conversation you had with Yaz about the announcement for the candidacy of agents, of folks running for office. So it's 7 p.m. is the deadline on the 8th, June 8th. What won't we know by 7 p.m. on the 8th?
Tell me.
Who's the candidate's going to be in the primary? They did, right? When is the date that they're doing the
Democratic primary? I think is June 8th. So we won't know the winners. We won't know the 2 of the 3 that are on the Democratic primary, but we would know the independents, though, right?
No, that's a deadline for the independents. So the deadline, the nine primary and independent candidates deadline for filing, as per the Department of Elections, I dropped it in the feed, is June 8th at 7 p.m.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So you're basically saying this. If Mayor Walker is waiting to see who comes out of the Democratic primary before making her announcement whether she will run again, she has to make an announcement before the results of the primary are actually tabulated.
Just do 2 things. She actually has to file. She has to have the candidate, whoever it may be, has to have all their documents in order. They have to have all their petitions in order. They have to have all the signatures in order. Has to be done, filed, and received by the Department of Elections by 7 p.m. on the 8th. We won't know by 7 p.m. on the 8th we might have an idea, but who's the so whoever that candidate would have to have everything all stacked up, ready to go to make a decision if you want to, send that out and be received by that. So my point I'm making.
That's good knowledge. That's good.
So the point I'm making is whoever's running as an independent will have to announce sometime prior to 7 p.m. On the 8th.
Do you think she will run?
I don't know. I don't have a clue, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to lay out the mechanics of it, that you can't wait as an independent past the primary. You're going to have to announce up till some point, and you really won't know who won the primary. You might have an idea by tracking the returns, but I believe the polls close at 6 p.m. in Charlottesville. I may be wrong. They may close earlier. They also may close at 8 p.m. too, which would be after. So we're probably not going to find out who's the Democratic primary candidates until late that evening, definitively, in my opinion, past that 7 p.m. Deadline. So I felt this would be a great subject to tackle right now, real quick, because
That's great knowledge. That's great. Yeah. I just learned something from Keith Smith right there, guys. I learned something from this guy all the time. So what does your instinct say? Yaz talked to her on Friday and straight up asked her. She said, you heard her say that.
Yeah, I did. Look, and you know, I'm sure she, you know, the mayor is weighing her pros and cons and doing as any candidate who's wishing to announce will do, and, you know, speaking to family and so forth and so on. It's a process on it. I don't really have a clue on it, but, you know, I'm just trying to point the mechanics of it out. That in reality, whoever's going to announce really needs to do that at least a day before to make sure all the documentation's in order. Because if you miss that 7 p.m. deadline, you're done. It's a hard stop deadline. So I don't have a clue. I wish I did, but I do not, sir.
Landon Fishburne, welcome to the broadcast. This is a good question. Brian watches the show regularly. One more question for you, Keith, because I know we got a 1:45 here. Brian says this: ask Keith his take on what Yaz said about Fifeville wanting to rent their homes instead of selling because they know they're sitting on good real estate, good location.
So with all due respect to Yaz, I think she may have misspoke.
Okay.
Right? So you're either, the logic doesn't make sense. If I'm going to sell my house, why am I going to rent it? Right? So I wasn't trying to put two and two together.
I think what she meant by that is a lot of the folks in Fifeville know their location is so good, so now they're less inclined to sell their home. Instead, they want to rent.
But they got to move out of their current home to rent.
Or they have to go somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they got to do something with their home if they own it. I just think she misspoke a little bit. I think it might be the other way around. I think people, instead of buying, might be just to continue to rent instead of buying. But if I own a home, right, why would I rent my own home back? I own it. I'm paying mortgage payment on it already. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense. Unless they're using the home as an asset, as an income generator. But to your point, they're going to have another place to live.
Yeah, they got to sell it. Somebody else is going to own it. Right. So I think they might be saying is, look, it's now, we have this conversation on Real Talk all the time. I'm going to sell my home, capitalize as much on dollars, and then go rent and wait for the market to change. And maybe that's what the conversation was about. But you know, if you're going to sell your home, you're going to sell your home, right? And then you find some other place to rent. But I was a little confused on what Yaz was trying to say, to be honest with you.
How's Real Talk look tomorrow?
You know, brother, I'm going to have a lot. It's going to be me and you. I'm looking forward to it. I love it when it's just you and I. And we're going to talk a little real estate. We're going to talk about what the market's doing, some new construction stuff. And man, I just love sitting across the table from you and having fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be good. Tomorrow at 10:15, the distinguished gentleman and myself, Keith Smith, on Real Talk, 10:15 on Tuesday morning. My friend, I will see you in a little bit.
Yeah, I'll talk to Yaz and hopefully get some clarification so I can answer that better tomorrow. Hopefully I can, if you could connect the two of us, I'd love to answer that question a little bit more intelligently than I just did.
I will do that today via Facebook DM. You have a good day, sir.
See you in a little bit.
All right, sounds good, Keith. We'll see you in a little bit. Yaz Washington on the show, Keith Smith on the show. It's going to be a good episode of Real Talk tomorrow, Tuesday at 10:15 a.m. Couple items I want to get out of my notebook before signing off, guys. We're clearly coming out on the other side of COVID, right? You see it, I see it. We just had 2020 graduation in Charlottesville. And from what everyone can tell, the 2020 graduation we just had in Charlottesville for UVA was a huge success. The restaurants were busy. The retail stores were busy. We had tourists coming in here, parents of graduates coming here, spending money and leaving. It was a success. We are clearly on the other side or heading to the other side of this pandemic. I just want to get there. Don't you? I just want to get this behind us. Don't you? I read about these different variants. I read about what's happening in India. I read about what's happening in Europe. I want our home, our state, our commonwealth, our country to not be in those situations, to not be in the situation that India is in, to not be in a lockdown like we've seen from a lot of countries in Europe. I want us to open back up. I worry it's a little too quick, too soon. And this is coming from someone who never worries about anything. Just flipping the switch like the governor has done, just flipping the switch like the CDC has done, creates uncertainty and confusion. And when you get uncertainty and confusion in the midst of a pandemic, people don't know what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to act, behave, and what they're supposed to do from a rules standpoint. It's now up to the individual business in Virginia to determine the mask policy. So you can go to two restaurants right next to each other for drinks. One of them has no mask policy, and the one right next to it has a mask policy. You've had a few drinks at the no mask restaurant, and then you go to the restaurant that has mask or no service. What's that going to lead to? Confusion, anger, arguments, bickering, uncertainty, all fair. I want to put this behind us just as much as anyone, but I want to do it in the most strategic way possible. And I fear the rush is just going to create more confusion for everyone. Time will tell. Dr. Scott Gottlieb said today on CNBC, he was the head of the FDA. Dr. Scott Gottlieb said his prediction by June, no one in this country will be wearing masks. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, the 23rd Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, now the go-to commentator for health and medicine and everything doctor-related for CNBC. He says by June, no one's going to wear it. Time's going to tell. True leadership is identified during moments and times and sequences of uncertainty. True leadership rears its head and is identified when we need it the most. Have we gotten that true leadership of late? I'll close with that. Thank you for joining us on the I Love CVille Show. I'm Jerry Miller. Take care.